I didn't hear the bedroom door open. That's the part that still keeps me up at night, the silence. I remember falling asleep around 11:30, exhausted after a double shift at the clinic. Rain hammered the windows, thunder rolling over my apartment building like a warning I ignored. When I finally drifted off, the world felt safe, familiar, mine. But sometime around 3 a.m., I woke up to the feeling of warmth beside me. Warmth that shouldn't have been there. At first, half asleep, I thought maybe I'd kicked my weighted blanket into a weird shape. But then the shape breathed. Slow, deep, right next to my ear. My eyes snapped open. For a few seconds, I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I lay frozen, staring into the dark as the reality sank in. Someone was in my bed. My mind scrambled through explanations. Maybe my brother came over, maybe a neighbor had the wrong apartment, but no one had a key. And the breathing, it wasn't familiar. It was too slow, too measured, like the person was pretending to be asleep. Very gently, I turned my head. Moonlight leaked through the curtains, just enough to outline the curve of a shoulder, a head, messy hair, a man, facing away from me, lying perfectly on his side, hands tucked neatly under his chin like a child. I swallowed hard. My heart hammered against my ribs, so loud I was sure he could hear it. I tried to remember if I'd locked the door. I always locked it, always. I forced myself to shift the blankets a little, testing whether he'd react. Nothing. Whoever he was, he didn't move, not even an inch. I debated whether to bolt for the door, but it was on the other side of the bed. I'd have to climb over him. Not happening. My phone was on the nightstand, inches from his head, so close I could reach it if I leaned over him. Also, not happening. So I did the only thing I could. I slowly slid my hand under my pillow and grabbed the small flashlight I kept there. Then, inch by inch, I angled it toward his face. I clicked the button. A soft beam lit the stranger's cheek. Pale skin, stubble, cold sweat. But something was wrong, terribly wrong. His eyes were open, wide, glassy, unblinking, staring straight ahead. Not asleep, not blinking, just frozen. My breath caught in my throat. He hadn't reacted because he couldn't. I wanted to scream, but the sound stuck in my chest. I swung my legs off the bed and back toward the wall. My hands shook so violently I dropped the flashlight. The beam spun across the room and landed on his face again, long enough for me to see it clearly. He wasn't looking at the wall. His eyes were angled too far to the side. He'd been watching me the entire time. I ran. I didn't think, I just ran. Through the hall, down the stairs, barefoot into the cold parking lot. I dialed 911 with trembling fingers. The dispatcher told me to stay where I was. Officers arrived within minutes. They swept my apartment, room by room. When they reached the bedroom, one of them called for the others. They found him still lying there, in the same position, eyes open. But he wasn't alive. He'd been dead for hours. They said he had no ID, no wallet, nothing in his pockets, no sign of forced entry, no marks on him, no struggle. Just a dead man curled neatly under my blankets, like he belonged there. They questioned me for hours, but I had no answers. They took fingerprints, DNA swabs, everything. When I finally returned to my apartment, the bed was stripped, the mattress flipped, the floor dusted with powder. But the feeling of him lying there clung to the room like humidity. For days, I didn't sleep in that room. I slept on the couch with every light on, praying for morning. A week later, I got a call from a detective named Ramos. They'd run the fingerprints. The man had no criminal record, no missing person report, nothing. It was like he didn't exist. But there was something else, something the detective didn't know how to explain. His time of death. The coroner estimated he died around 2:45 a.m., which meant he was already dead before I woke up beside him. That should have been the end of it. A terrifying mystery, but at least it was over. Except it wasn't. 2 nights later, at 3:07 a.m., I woke up again. Not because of a sound. There was none. Not because someone touched me. No one did. I woke up because of a smell, damp, earthy, like wet soil. The same smell that clung to the dead man's clothes when the officers rolled him out on a stretcher. I sat up slowly. The apartment was dark, too dark. I blinked, adjusting. That's when I saw it, the outline of a man crouched in the corner, not standing, not sitting, crouched, his head tilted at an unnatural angle, watching me. My breath hitched, my throat tightened. As my eyes adjusted, details formed, the same shape, the same messy hair, the same stillness. But something was different. He wasn't pale anymore. He was darker, like damp soil clung to his skin. His clothes were soaked, dripping onto the floor, and his eyes, his eyes, were full of dirt, packed into the sockets like someone had buried him twice. I tried to scream, but only air came out. He didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. He just crouched there, inches from the floor, head tilted, staring at me with soil-filled eyes. Then slowly, his mouth opened. Not like a person waking up, not a yawn, not a gasp. It opened too wide, cracking at the corners, soil spilling from between the teeth. A low groan seeped out, like air escaping a collapsed lung. I scrambled for the door, nearly tripping over the blanket, but when I reached the hallway, light switch, and flipped it, the corner was empty, no dirt, no footprints, nothing. But the smell lingered, stronger than ever. I didn't go back to sleep. I didn't even sit down. I spent the rest of the night watching that corner, flashlight in hand, heart pounding. At sunrise, I packed a bag and left. I haven't gone back since. But last night in my new apartment, I woke up again around 3 a.m. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. But I felt warmth beside me. And this time, when I turned my head, the breathing sounded exactly like mine. Thanks for watching my video. Subscribe to my channel.